Welcome to another episode of I Wonder, Doctor.
I'd like to say some more about stress and its relationship to weight gain.
You've talked about this one a lot.
Yeah, and it's so crucial that I wanted to wrap around it one more time.
Yeah.
And there is stress in our life. And stress in our life is good for us if we learn how to respond well to it. It helps us grow. It helps us get wiser. It refines us in many ways if we're working with it. I know that's not necessarily the common perception about it, but it's true.
Yeah.
The problem comes in with how we react biologically to it. There is a full fight or flight possibility of pumping out a lot of hormones and neurotransmitters to mobilize us. Well, fantastic. When we need it, it's great. It's assisted moms to be able to lift cars off of children.
So this is like if all of a sudden a saber-toothed tiger popped out and I'd either have to fight that thing or run from it. And so my body throws a whole bunch of hormones into the mix to help me do that better, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's great for the short run, but in the long run, it does not serve. For one thing, at the vanguard of the biology of the stress response is pumping out hormones called adrenaline and cortisol and insulin. Well, we need it. They mobilize glucose, which is the rocket fuel for fight or flight. And yet, long-term over-secretion of cortisol leads to insulin resistance, which calls for higher and higher levels of insulin to try and get the glucose into the cells where it belongs.
Yeah.
These aren't the only hormones involved in the stress response. For example, the sex hormones can get involved. They can be helpful. If a woman shunts estrogen down into the stress response and her testosterone, and a man shunts his testosterone into the stress response, it empowers it all the more. These are powerful mobilizing hormones.
Yeah.
However, when a young woman, for example, is shunting a lot of estrogen down the stress pathway, what happens to her periods? There's not enough there for the female functions, and her periods get irregular, or she stops menstruating altogether.
Yeah.
And for a man, well, what happens with testosterone depletion is erectile dysfunction over time, or less energy, less mobility in a young man.
So if we're going through life as if everything was a saber-toothed tiger, we keep triggering that over and over and over again, and this is what does this, exhausts all these hormones, and in this case leads to weight gain.
And there's more to it.
Yeah.
As periods get irregular, women cease ovulating properly, and they're not putting out enough progesterone, which means they're not going to get good thyroid function. And remember that the estrogen and the testosterone suppress the action of a fat accumulating enzyme called LPL. The flip side of that is when there's not as much estrogen around on a day-to-day basis, it unleashes that LPL to accumulate fat, and so in all the wrong places as well.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story is try and avoid the biology of the stress response and how one does that. Well, we have a lot to say about this in other episodes of I Wonder, Doctor. But really, you have to become conscious and have more skills to work with your own emotions and your own mind when you face the stresses of life. The other major aspect relates to energy. I mean, there's been observations for thousands of years that human beings are born with a lot of energy. Over the course of time, it declines. And some wisdom-based cultures try and grapple with this and teach their young how to cease losing energy, how to become energy neutral in the face of life, and then eventually to become energy builders. So these are skills, this is information and knowledge that we can acquire and practice in day-to-day life that, for one thing, helps us become healthier, helps us lose weight, and have more fun and more energy to do everything we want to do, and hopefully walk, talk, and run when our 80s, 90s, and however long we're going to be on this earth. It's wonderful subjects.
I guess what this raises for me is this. We sort of face this in real time, right? This is really occurring in our real lives where all that stuff is not going away. And when patients come to you, do you see them stop this pattern, stop triggering the fight or flight response, stop getting overweight because of it?
Even better than that, I see patients, friends, colleagues, myself, anyone who becomes interested in acquiring the information and tools that relates to energy conserving and building, that relates to disengaging the biology of the stress response, they're losing weight, they're having more fun, life is better. Not everyone takes like a duck to water to this information.
Yeah.
But hey, may everyone get interested in it, especially those who want to be healthy, and especially those who want to lose weight. Because I wanted to emphasize that that stress response is at the core of an issue one must master if you really want to lose the weight.
Got it. Thanks.